Before we talk about that game, can we just talk about the Champions League final in 3 weeks' time, in the sense that in the last month, Chelsea have beaten them twice now in the FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. Does that have any bearing on the Champions League final on May the 29th?
No.
Thank you very much for coming, everybody.
Ooh, are you sure?
What, as in teams and stuff like that?
No,
Just in terms of psychology.
Do Man City now feel as though Chelsea have got their number?
No.
You're a Chelsea player. You're sitting in the change room wherever the final is played, and you're going, "We know we can beat them."
You know, the lead up to the Champions League final. All that's going to be gone. Nobody's going to be thinking about what they did last time. And players-wise, I'm talking.
Yes.
About. Coaches, of course. Coaches will look into the way that teams are set up. Of course they will. But players, a week before that Champions League final, they won't be thinking about what Chelsea did last. No, absolutely no chance. In my opinion, absolutely no chance.
Players I agree with, but it's not going to stop the media.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So there's going to be a little bit of something in it where you think Chelsea have got their number.
Yeah.
And Pep would have been distraught how they threw that game away.
Yes.
I don't think they'll have a massive measure on the actual Champions League final and which way it swings. But if you're Thomas Tuchel now, you're saying to your players, we've just beat these twice.
Yeah,
We've beat these twice. They're not invincible.
Don't go in there with an inferiority complex. Let's do the story of the game then. And Manchester City going into a lead, which Aguero looked a bit irritated with Sterling. But you made the point, watch this, Aguero's not scoring, is he?
No, he's not. That first touch, there's no way that Aguero's going to score. Absolutely no chance. In fact, Sterling's done him a favour.
Yeah.
Because he's made a mess of the first touch.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, is it James there?
James is there, yeah.
James is there on his shoulder.
James would block that.
James, he would have blocked Aguero off and just cleared the ball. And then Sterling's there just to make sure. He's having a conversation there. I don't know what he's saying. Is he saying, I would have scored, get out of my way? I don't know what he's saying.
He should be saying thank you.
He should be saying, thank you very much, Raheem. I made a mess of that.
I made a mess of that.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, story of Aguero's day a little bit, wasn't it?
Gosh.
Actually, making a mess of that. Let's have a look at the decision to award the penalty. We'll see the mess up from Aguero in a second. But actually, Chris, the decision to award the penalty. I watched this a few times. I said to the boys, does Jesus not change his angle to run into Billy Gilmour?
I don't think he does. I mean, I'm looking at that and I think he just kicks his leg and then he trips him up. I'm looking for the referee's position as well.
Why does he run away from the ball?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't run away from the ball.
I just can't see how that's not a penalty kick.
He doesn't run. He doesn't move away from the ball.
No, he tries to take... He gets it wrong, Don. He tries to take the ball with him. He tries to drag the ball with him onto his left foot to open the goal up.
Sure.
So he's got
and he misses
space.
the ball.
And he misses the ball. So it looks like he's ran into Gilmour.
OK, fine. If we can see that again, please.
Yeah.
So he misses the ball.
Yeah, he tries to drag it with him.
And what does he do, having missed the ball? Run into Billy Gilmour.
Absolutely. Look
at Billy Gilmour hopping as well. Billy Gilmour's trying to hop into the air to get out of the way.
But he just
but
can't.
That's not Billy Gilmour's fault that Jesus has missed the ball.
Is that not just an accidental collision?
Yes, so not
because I'm watching Billy Gilmour.
But you're never going to get away with that, are you?
Goodness, Dom.
No, I don't think every decision has to be black or white. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a penalty or it doesn't have to be a dive.
Definitely.
It can just be a collision.
Yeah.
Watch Billy Gilmour. If you can see that one more time. Watch Billy Gilmour.
He brings his feet out of the way.
He hops in the air, Billy Gilmour, as if to say, I'm getting out of the way of this.
Yeah, he tries
I just think that's...
If Jesus is trying to shoot for goal, my argument is why is he moving away from the ball?
I don't think
now,
you
say because he's missed it. Fine.
Yeah.
That's not... Therefore, you're penalising Billy Gilmour because Jesus has missed it.
I would go at the referee for that. I just don't think it's a Stonewall penalty. No. I think it's an accidental collision.
So if I'm refereeing that game and I don't give you a penalty for that, you're not going to shout at me then.
But what I'm saying is I'm looking at Billy Gilmour and I'm seeing him. He knows he's going to collide with Jesus and he jumps out the way, Billy Gilmour.
Out the way,
he's trying to hop into the air to not to catch him.
But he catches his ankle, doesn't he?
Yeah, I feel sympathy for Billy Gilmour because I know he doesn't mean it. It's just whether then you deem that as clumsy. Do you think it's accidental?
He's trying to get out of the way.
Do you think that's a penalty?
Personally, yeah, I do. I think that's a penalty. And if I was refereeing the game, I would have probably made the same decision and you would have shouted at me.
It is a pen.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because he's not meant to do anything. He hasn't meant to touch him at all. He has stopped. Yeah. He's brought both legs back. He's trying to move out of the way. He's done everything right, but he's caught his ankle.
That's a classic case. Ask Chelsea fans and ask Billy Gilmour, is that a penalty? They'll say no. Ask Man City fans and Jesus, and they'll say yeah. It's just the way it is. Sometimes it's one of them.
I think it's very harsh, but OK. No. What about Aguero? I mean, he's brilliant. One of the best centre-forwards we've ever had in this country. Scored legendary goals for Manchester City. Can you... Well, we know what he's thinking. He's thinking Mendy's going to take off towards Mendy's right-hand post. He's
thinking, I'm telling you what he's thinking, Mark. He's thinking, I am going to be an absolute legend and a superstar when I Panenka this right down the middle.
And we win the league.
And we win the league, right? So it adds a little bit more kudos and the ego's taken over. why make your penalty into a harder job than it actually is? It's because he's seen all the lights, he's seen all the headlines. That's exactly what he's done. Because there's no reason to try that. You try that when you're 2 or 3-0 up and you've won the league.
Yes, exactly. When everything's done, that's when you can try things. As a centre forward, and Aguero's the same, what you do is you deal with the situation after you've put the ball in the net. So you score the goal, and then you go, right, could have Panenka, next time I might Panenka. You don't mess about. He doesn't normally mess about.
Peter Drury made a great point in comms there. He might never score for Man City again, Aguero.
Yeah.
He wasn't thinking that.
Gary Lineker did the same thing to equal the England goal-scoring record, and I don't think he ever scored for England again.
Don't know why you try it. I remember Lookman trying one, and we hammered Lookman when Fulham were in the bottom three, and he Panenka one down the middle, and you're going, why are you trying this?
Don and I have both taken penalties. You get awarded the penalty, you get the ball in your arm, you're waiting for a bit of the argument to kick off. The referee's getting dog's abuse as usual. You put the ball down, and then you step back and you think, it's quite scary. It's quite scary. And you step back and it's quite scary. And you think, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make it a little bit more scary, and I'll try to make myself look good. Put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, that makes you look good. Put it in the back of the net.
Put the ball in the back of the net, win 2-0 and lift the title.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad, is it?
I know, yeah. OK, we'll do the Chelsea goals in a second, but there was another huge penalty appeal for Manchester City right at the end of the game. All right, Chris, just to say I'm not biased, I cannot believe this was not a penalty. How is this not a penalty?
I wouldn't disagree with you, Mark. I think it's a penalty. The referee gets himself in a position to make a judgment. He doesn't think it's a penalty from where he is. Could he have been assisted by the assistant referee? I think so. We know it's checked. The VAR obviously didn't think it was a clear and obvious error, but let's be brutally honest. If Anthony Taylor points at the spot, that's not getting overturned.
Why hasn't the assistant helped, and why haven't VAR? If VAR can see what we're seeing, and they haven't given it, that tells me they don't understand what's happened there, Chris.
I think what we talk about on the field is areas of responsibility. So Anthony Taylor's come inside. He probably hasn't got... He's doing his best to get the best view. Isn't it? But when you've got the assistant running down the touchline looking side on, you would expect some support from the assistant referee, which wasn't forthcoming. And then, of course, when he goes to ground, we check it. The VAR will check it. They didn't feel as though it was a clear and obvious error by the referee, and therefore they didn't award a penalty. But let's be honest, if Anthony Taylor blows the whistle and points at the spot, they're not. Yeah,
I think that's where the fault lies. The fault lies not in the referee.
Yeah, I agree.
The fault lies in the linesman.
In the assistant.
Not seeing
People upstairs here,
He needs to be braver. And then watching that in slow motion especially, they've got to give that as a
because we've said several times, we've seen quite a lot of those every season, that it's the responsibility of the defender not to get too close to the attacker in that case, isn't it?
That's clumsy.
And that's clumsy, absolutely, yeah.
Well,
Sterling's running towards goal. It's not like, we've had a discussion about whether Jesus stepped away from the ball, but Sterling is going towards goal.
I think Zuma's panicking. Zuma's panicking. He can't get back on side. He's trying to stop Sterling taking his shot. Sterling wants to take his shot, and he's not gone down. He's not actually, tried to fall. But they're always going to be. They should be given all the time.
The warning signs for a referee, linesman, VAR is when a striker has got goal side of the defender, and the defender's desperately trying to get back into an onside position to make the tackle. He is always going to catch him. Got to see that.
You know when you were a defender, Dion, in that situation, how difficult is it though to just ease back and not get close to the attacker? Because you're always thinking, I've got to close down. It's a fine line, isn't it, as to where you're going to be and where you're going to put yourself.
I was very rarely that side of the defender because I was so deep when I played centre-half.
And if you were, Raheem Sterling's 4 yards ahead of you. You're not
exactly. And I'm looking in his face.
Nowhere near him, to be honest with you.
Let's have a look at the Chelsea goals that won it in the second half and their comeback. Ziyech with the first, which he takes really well done, doesn't he, Ziyech? Takes the goal really nicely.
There's a sloppy bit of play from Rodri who doesn't react well. But I can't help but think if John Stones and Diaz as a pair, Diaz especially would have blocked this. Look at the reaction of Laporte. Turns his back on the Ziyech shot. Ruben Diaz wouldn't do that. It's a good goal from Chelsea's point of view. And when you want someone in a blue shirt with brilliant technique, it's Hakim Ziyech.
And actually what you say about Laporte turning there just feeds into the narrative of what I was asking at the beginning about the Champions League final, because if they're fit, it will be Diaz and Stones. It won't be Laporte and Nathan Ake. So
great strike.
It's a great strike.
Yeah, doesn't try to hit it too hard. And here's what... Now, I think we could look at this for about 10 years and still not really work out what bit of who it comes off. Whether Alonso hits it into his own standing foot or it comes off a bit of Hudson-Odoi or something.
Yeah, I don't know what Hudson-Odoi's doing there apart from tackling his own man, because he can't strike for goal like that.
I think he hits it into his standing leg, don't you?
Alonso kicks it with his right.
Into his left shin.
Onto his left.
Don't you think, looking at that?
So well, it gets a bit of lift on it, doesn't it? So we're not quite sure.
Well, I think it might... Because I think it hits that bony bit of his left ankle.
I think it hits his right foot, Alonso, and then hits his left shin.
Yes, that's
It's a very clever skill. I think he's been trying that in training.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
He's been working that in training.
But you can see, by the way, you often talk about, you guys often say, watch the spin and trajectory of the ball.
Correct.
The way it's spinning like that, you think it's got to come off some bony bit of his shin.
A lot of players and a lot of people will say you got that completely wrong. It's a terrible, terrible strike of the ball. Who cares?
Look at the newspaper. It says 2-1.
It's in the back of the net. Who cares?
And you can always see the way the trajectory of the ball goes in. It's not a standard finish.
Yeah,
always throws the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So the goalkeeper's waiting for that standard finish, hard and low, right-hand side, I dive there. The fact that it sort of loops up, you know there must have been a double hit somewhere.
Whatever happens in the Champions League final, in the Premier League next season, would you anticipate that Chelsea will be, as much as Manchester United, Manchester City's challenger for the title?
Yes. From what I can see at the moment, and the way Tuchel turning his team around, the way they play and the way they look hard to beat, they look like men again, they look like Chelsea again. Yes, I'd expect them to be alongside Man United, and probably a few of the others.